Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I decided to start reading Project 2025 because, I like to punish myself and I must be a masochist. So this is a mandate for leadership, the conservative promise. Let's go through it. Now, this is written by a bunch of people, but the guy who's the director of Project 2025, Paul Dan. So the Heritage Foundation is once again facilitating this work. But as our dozen of partners and hundreds of authors will attest, this book is the work of the entire conservative movement. That's scary. If you're a conservative and you're watching this video, and I mean this genuinely, do you really believe in this? And if you do, I'm interested as to why. Because there's a lot in here that takes the rights away from women, like all of us. And I am not confident that we would be safe, like not white women in general, because I care about really everybody. Number 1, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. And when they say protect our children, they're counting the ones that haven't been born yet, that they already have protections and they don't even exist, which I have a real problem with that. Like, they are taking away rights of women who do exist and then giving rights to unborn children who don't even exist yet. 2, dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people. Not exactly sure what that means, but we're going to try to figure that out. 3, defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. You know it's all about the border of the South. We have room. The thing is, we have room. Have you seen the middle of the country? There's a lot of space there. A lot of space. And honestly, that would be great. It would be good if we had more people in the center of the country. And also, having immigrants is actually really good for us. It's super good for us, to be honest, because people who, like my husband is here on a visa. He came over here on a fiance visa. We've been married for 12 years, almost 13 years. And he pays taxes into Social Security, but he'll never get that. He can't claim it because he's not an American citizen. He is not going to go for American citizenship. He doesn't want it, which is fine. He doesn't have to have it. You can live here indefinitely on a green card. You just have to renew it. 4, secure our God-given individual rights to live freely, except if you're a woman or LGBTQ. Then it doesn't apply. What our Constitution calls the blessings of liberty. Okay, for one, we have a separation of church and state, but these people are going to put that back together. They want a theocracy. Actually, they really want authoritarianism, but that's dressed up like theocracy. So what makes these 4 pieces of the conservative promise so valuable to the next president is that they cut through superficial distractions and focuses on the moral and foundational challenges America faces in this moment of history. This is one of the secrets of conservative success in the Reagan era, one of our generation should emulate. No, we shouldn't emulate the Reagan era. We really shouldn't. Reagan did a lot of bad things that really hurt a lot of regular Americans. This is going to hurt a lot of regular Americans. I also think this is going to hurt anybody of color. Anybody of color. At all. It doesn't matter. Asian, Hispanic, Black, it won't matter. It's going to affect you. So, if you're a woman and you're in the Republican Party and you are okay with this, if you are like, yeah, that's what I want, you really need to ask yourself some questions, because there's a lot of draconian things in this. And Do you want to subject your daughter, your sister, your mother, your aunts, other women you know, to a very draconian system? Not everyone believes in your faith. That's just the way it is. I am a happy atheist. I do not want, nor do I need to believe in God. I have a great moral compass. And it's not from religion. Because I'll tell you, the majority of people that are loud in religion, they're not moral in any way, shape, or form. Especially the people that are taking away abortion rights. That's amoral. You're taking away healthcare from women. You're taking away their freedom, their right to choose. And we all have a right to choose. If you're an evangelical and you don't want to have an abortion, don't fucking have one. You don't get to decide that for all of us. You don't get to decide that for Nancy down the road. You don't get to decide that for your daughter. You don't get to decide that for me. And majority of the people that are having abortions have a family, have other children, they're moms. And they don't want another child, or it's dangerous for them to bring a child to full term. But those people are going to be forced to have that pregnancy unless their life is in danger. And that's going to be a very, very, very sticky situation because they want to ban abortion on a federal level, which is going to be disgusting. You know, Trump says, oh, I'm going to punt it back to the states. And you know what? I don't think he actually cares. I don't think Trump cares at all. But if he wins, this is what he's subscribing to. And the thing is, there are doctors, especially when you criminalize it, when you criminalize anyone who helps people have abortions, like they did in Arizona, and which isn't yet in effect. It went in effect, well, it had 2 weeks until it was going to effect. I think that started a couple days ago. So it's either 12 or 10 days until it goes into effect. People are trying to appeal it, whatever, because the Arizona Supreme Court decided to do that. But guess what? Majority of the people in Arizona don't want to ban abortion. There's a few people. It's the minority. So if we have a true democracy, how are things that are most people don't want the things that are getting passed? Right? Because they want authoritarianism. They want to control women, our bodies, and they want to control I don't even know what would happen to LGBTQ people, especially trans people. I do not know what would happen to them, but I think unaliving rates would go up. And the reason why people in that circumstance would be unalival, because I can't say the other word, is because they don't have the support they need. There's so much documentation that the people who get the proper care at the proper time, especially doing puberty blockers for kids, they don't get surgery. You can't get surgery before you're an adult. Like, you can't. There's barely any surgeons that even do it regardless. And most surgeons only do top surgery. Remove your breasts or give you breasts. That's it. Although a lot of people end up growing breasts. Transgender women, sometimes they take estrogen, then they end up growing breasts, and sometimes they're happy with that, and they don't need implants at that point. So that's great. But if you're a transgender man, you probably don't want to keep your breasts, and so you need a mastectomy. And there's not that many. I mean, you can get a mastectomy, but there's not that many surgeons that will do those kinds of surgeries, because I think they have to be certified special for it, and not that many are. And for bottom surgery, it's next to impossible to get that in this country. It's next to impossible. See, I used to do authorizations. I live in Washington State, and I used to do authorizations for transgender care. And I'll tell you, they had to jump through some hoops. For top surgery, at least in my state, you need a psych eval. You need to live as that gender for a year. You need to change your name, be called that other name. You need to, and I'm not sure how long you have to go to a psychiatrist, but I think you have to go for a while. So they make sure that you really do want to go through with this. It's in tandem with your doctor that is prescribing testosterone or estrogen, whatever the case may be, whichever way this person's going. And all these people have to be over 18. They have to be over 18 to make that decision. When you're 18, you are allowed to enlist into the army. You're allowed to vote. You're allowed to buy cigarettes. You're allowed to do a bunch of things you couldn't do when you were 17, including transgender surgery if you so choose. But you can't just walk up and get it. Like, conservatives think it's so easy, but it's not. It's a very complicated, convoluted experience for these people. And it's just stunning how they're treating these people. Okay, so promise number 1, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. Yeah, the next conservative president must get to work pursuing the true priority of politics, the well-being of the American family. In many ways, the entire point of centralizing political power is to subvert the family. What? Its purpose is to replace people's natural loves and loyalties with unnatural ones. I don't even know what that means. You see this in the popular left-wing aphorism? I don't know. Government is simply the name that we give things we choose to do together. Okay, one guy said that. I'd never heard that statement ever in my life. You know who said it? Barnett Frank. He's a Democrat. He said that. Okay, because a Democrat said those words, that's what we all represent? That's weird. Oh yeah, and they demonize progressives as if we're also communist. We are not. We are very different. But in real life, most of these things people do together have nothing to do with government. These are the mediating institutions that serve as building blocks of any healthy society: marriage, family, work, church, school, volunteering. The name real people give to the things we do together is community, not government. That's what I call that too, and I'm progressive. This is a bunch of malarkey. Like the whole way through, I kept finding they call us the extreme left. Left is not extreme. It really isn't. We want equal rights for everyone. Everyone. I don't care about your race. I don't care about your sex. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your gender. I don't care about any of that shit. You deserve the same fucking rights as a straight, white, cis man. We all fucking deserve that. All of us. Every last one of us. The next conservative president must take the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. Just because you recognize there's an issue in the United States, somehow you're woke culture, that's dumb. This starts with deleting the terms sexual orientation. Like, why are we deleting that term? It's a term we need. Gender identity, SOGI. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. Yeah, we got to erase that. DEI. Gender equality, gender equity, gender awareness, gender sensitive, abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights, and the other terms used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights out of every federal rule, agency, regulation, contract, grant, regulation, and piece of legislation that exists. So they're going to remove these because of free speech. Do they not understand what free speech is? Pornography, manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children, for instance, is not a political Gordian knot inextricably binding up desperate claims about free speech, property rights, sexual liberation, and child welfare. It has no claim on the First Amendment protection. It has no claim to First Amendment protection. So they want to remove your First Amendment rights for those words. I mean, will we not be able to say them out loud? Put them in text? Will we not be able to say them on the internet? Will we have an internet? Or will we have more of an intranet that we can't get outside of our own country? It's awful. This shit's just so awful. Pornography should be outlawed. No, it shouldn't. It serves its purpose. Long as the people that are in the pornography aren't being forced to do it, and it's not like snuff, because that's not good. But if you're an adult, you should be able to consume pornography and not have anyone tell you any otherwise. Educators and public librarians who pervy, it should be classed as registered sex offenders. Pervy, P-U-R-V-E-Y, to supply such as provisions. Okay, so let's read that with some plain language. Okay, so educators and public librarians who supply it should be classified as a registered sex offender. But they consider anything that talks about transgender people pornography. It's not pornography. They call things that are pornography that aren't actually pornography. And the thing is, sex isn't this weird thing. It's something we do for pleasure and for procreation. It's a natural human thing. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be suppressed. It is something that we should be a bit more open about. You know, it's shutting the door on a sexual conversation. It just breeds ignorance. That's all it does. They're going to take sex ed out of schools and put that back to the parents. That's not going to work out for a lot of kids. It's just not. Critical race theory and gender ideology will be excised from curricula in public schools. Here's the thing. Critical race theory, I don't care what you call it. People try to tell me that it's in their elementary school. It's not. Critical race theory is taught in law school. It's an advanced subject. They're not teaching that to children. That's in law school. But you're an adult for that. So that's college, university. That is not public school. So you're what? You're going to take something out of school that isn't actually there? And we can't talk about critical race theory because it makes white people uncomfortable? What? People are just ridiculous about this. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about how people of color are affected in this country. And I know there's a bunch of white S's out there that like to deny all this. I don't know why. I don't get how they cannot see it. And I think it's because they're just not, they don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. Anyway, so down here it says, allowing parents or physicians to reassign the sex of a minor child is abuse and must end. They don't reassign it. Parents and physicians aren't reassigning the kid's sex. They're not going to the doctor and like, you know what? You're really a boy. We're going to call you Mark. Yeah. So we're going to start giving you testosterone. That's not how that works. For public institutions to use taxpayer dollars to declare the superiority or inferiority of certain races, sexes, and religions is a violation of the Constitution and civil right law and cannot be tolerated by any government anywhere in the country. That's interesting. So I know what they're talking about. They're saying that the Democrats pretend they're superior and look at the Republicans as inferior, and I don't. I look at Republicans, especially Trumplicans, as in a cult, because that's exactly what's going on. And the thing is, I don't know how we save these people. And I know some people say they're beyond saving, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I've seen people that were entrenched in like white S, and they got out. If you are in a neo-schmatzy type of group and you came to the conclusion that you're in the wrong and you're like, yeah, I need to do better. There was a guy I'm thinking of in particular that now his whole life goal is to get other people out of white S. And if you don't know what white S is, it's white supremacy. But the pro-family promises expressed in this book and central to the next conservative president's agenda must go much further than traditional narrow definition of family issues. Every threat to family stability must be confronted. Yeah, like not being able to get divorced unless you have a good reason for it. So no fault divorce. They want to take that away. What? Yeah. So that means you can only get divorced if you've been cheated on and you can prove it. You've been abused and you can prove it. Because they can deny you that as well if you can't prove it. I've been divorced twice. I got married to an abusive man, and then the second man I married was not the guy for me. Now, my current husband is the love of my life and the person I'm supposed to be with. Consider our approach to big tech. The worst of these companies prey on children, like drug dealers. They get them addicted to their mobile apps. Many Silicon Valley executives famously don't let their kids have smartphones. They nevertheless make billions of dollars addicting other people's children to theirs. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms are specifically designed to create the digital dependencies that fuel mental illness and anxiety, to fray children's bond with their parents and siblings. Federal policies cannot allow this industrial scale child abuse to continue. Okay, that's a really interesting thing. So let's look at this for a minute. To join any social media, you have to be usually 13 years or older. And I think that's still too young. I think it actually should be raised up to like 15 or 16, honestly, to be on any kind of social media. But here's the thing. What about these moms that are exploiting their children on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram? We all know they exist. One just got sentenced to many years in prison. You know, Ruby Frank? Yeah. She went to prison because she was exploiting her children and she abused them. She didn't go to prison for exploitation, but she went to prison for abusing her children and letting her partner, which I'm pretty sure was also her lover. Allegedly, I can't prove that, but I think she was. And since they're both in the Mormon religion and being gay is not okay, because I think they pray that gay away, which never actually works. I fear they're going to try to take away all those from all of us because it's protecting the children. It'll have nothing to do with protecting children. It'll have everything to do with not being able to mobilize together, not being able, because TikTok works as the town square right now. You get on there, you say some stuff, and, you know, people talk to you, people comment, you comment on other people's things, and you get to understand issues that are going on in the world sometimes. Because you have instant information, right? There's some funny things there are cat videos, everything you want on TikTok. And I'm pretty sure that's why the government, even the Democratic government, which I don't subscribe to, I am a progressive. progressives usually don't see eye to eye with either party. Now, here's the thing about progressives. I'm going to explain what that is to you. Progressive means that if the Republicans, for whatever reason, have a good platform, like they run on Medicare for all, you know, paid maternity leave, that kind of thing, then progressive people would vote for that. If that's your only thing going for you, we probably wouldn't. But if you had that and other good policies, progressives would probably vote for Republicans at that point if they became the better party again. See, this is the way they started. Republicans and Democrats used to be like this, right? Think of Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln was a Republican, but back then, Republicans weren't Republicans like they are now. They're basically were Democrats. And then they kind of splintered off, became the Dixiecrats, and they become the Democrats. So you got Democrats and then you had Republicans. The people who stayed in the Republican Party were Republicans. And the people who went to the Dixiecrats and became the Democrats were better on policy, were more about the people, more about the working person. And the Republicans are more about for the rich, as they always has been. I mean, since that switch, right? I don't remember when that switch happened, but it did happen. And in this Project 2025, they're like, we abolished slavery. No. It wasn't your party. It was the old Republican Party that was really Democrat. And it became your party over time, but it wasn't you guys that let slaves go. So, what do you think so far? Impressed? Because I'm not. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll come back when I read more of this and understand it more and tell you more of what I figured out. Pretty sure it's going to be depressing every single time, so